I'd like to call today's meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust to order. The item of business is to approve the minutes of the April 28th, 2020 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting. What are the desires of the trustees?
Now for a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Please cast your votes.
No. Yeah, press and hold.
Okay, Ms. Hooper, can you see your voting screen?
No, I can't. It's, I have the motion and second, but motion to approve, and that it's not going any further than
Okay, click escape and see if it pops up.
that. Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Roth, can you see your voting screen?
I do not.
Click escape and see if it pops up.
Did not.
If not, Mr. Roth, you can just do a voice A or nay on approval of the minutes.
A.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the second item of business. That's to ratify the OCED claims.
Move approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We also have a second. Please cast your votes.
Aye.
FYI, we are getting duplication of move and seconded, both audibly and online. So Todd
Yes.
and I moved and seconded, and then y'all are audibly doing it.
Correct. Motion passes.
The motion passes. And moving now on to items that require individual attention. Kathy, if you would present the first item dealing with the Northeast Renaissance redevelopment project.
Yeah. Item A on your agenda is an economic development agreement with 36th and Lincoln LLC for the Homeland Grocery Store project located at the northeast corner of North Lincoln Boulevard and Northeast 36th Street for an amount not to exceed $3.5 million. We've provided a couple of different presentations on this project in the past. As you will recall, there was an original allocation of tax increment financing funding in the amount of $4.4 million for a Homeland Grocery Store and corporate headquarters to be located on the same parcel with the MAPS 3 Northeast Oklahoma City Senior Wellness Center. Homeland has decided not to build a new corporate headquarters, so the project has been reduced in size, and the agreement today will include $3.5 million in tax increment financing. The agreement also provides that the TIF allocation will be provided at the time of the new market's tax credits closing so that it can be used to leverage as many tax credits to help build equity for the project. And the agreement also provides that the developer will make a minimum tax payment of $30,000 a year from the ad valorem taxes. The sales tax generated by the project will also be captured by the city. It would, once it's paid to the city in order to help pay back the $3.5 million in TIF that's been allocated to the project. Now, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Before you all come up with some questions, we have one citizen who was asked to be heard. If Mr. John Pettis would come forward and give us his name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes, sir, to make your comments or ask your questions.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Chairman can hear you.
Okay, John Pettis, Pettis, 1332 Northeast 54th Street, Oklahoma City, 73111, 405-641-7566. I just have one question of Ms. O'Connor or Mr. Johnson, and it's on the site plan on page 4. There's an area that's on the Senior Wellness Center. It has a no-build area. Now, is that part of the land that the Senior Wellness Center owns?
Well, at this point in time, the city owns that entire parcel. And we had a no build area designated in order to not block the visibility of that third development parcel that's just to the east of the Senior Wellness Center. So it doesn't interfere with an area that was designated to expand the Senior Wellness Center, but there was a no build zone just to make sure that the visibility and what am I trying to say? Access to that third development parcel wasn't blocked.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis. Thank you, Kathy. I have record of no other citizen wanting to be heard. Is there any citizen out there who would like to be heard at this time? Again, hearing none, what is the desire of the trustees?
I'll vote aye on the motion to approve.
Yeah, motion to
Motion
approve.
passes.
And it passes. Next, Kathy, item.
Item B on your agenda is a joint resolution between the City of Oklahoma City and the Economic Development Trust approving an allocation of general obligation limited tax bond proceeds and/or investment proceeds in an amount of $3 million to provide for certain job creation, economic development incentives with Costco Wholesale Corporation in exchange for locating a back office / call center facility in Oklahoma City and for its commitment to create approximately 1,044 new quality jobs over the next 3 years, and authorizing and directing the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust General Manager and/or designee to negotiate an economic development agreement for subsequent trust and city council consideration and approval. So to summarize this agreement or this allocation request, it is to approve job creation incentives for 1,044 new jobs in Oklahoma City. These will be jobs that will be located in a customer service center. They are not retail jobs. The average wage will be just over $44,000 in the first year and growing to almost $60,000 in the third year. The estimated first year payroll for Costco will be $14 million. The company does plan to make a capital investment of at least $25 million. And Mike Stratus, Vice President and Counsel for Intrepid Properties, that works with Costco on these kinds of transactions, is here to give a presentation. Mike?
Yes, thank you. Again, my name is Mike Stratus. I'm president of Intrepid Properties. I have been helping Costco in the management of their real estate activities for about 28 years in the Midwest and Texas region. And we have a short PowerPoint here that I thought we'd go through with brevity as a theme. Next slide, please. So for those of you, I'm sure most of you are familiar with who Costco is. Costco is the third largest retailer in the world, currently founded in 1983. They are the originator of the warehouse club concept, of which Sam's Club also competes in that space with us. Costco is the 14th largest company in the Fortune 500. Up until recently, they were the largest publicly traded company by sales in the state of Washington. I believe Amazon now has that title. Last year, we did just under 153 billion in sales, and this year we're estimating about 168 is the current number. We have 258,000 employees worldwide. Next slide, please. And I'll break down where we're located worldwide on the next slide, but for the company background, again, it's a membership-based company with 102 million cardholders, about 53 million Gold Star and Business primary members. Gold Star would be our members who predominantly join for their businesses to buy janitorial supplies, office supplies, and the primary in the Gold Star, excuse me, is for the retail client, and then the primary business members would be the alternate. We currently have about a 90% renewal rate in the U.S. and Canada. By our allocation, that's probably the highest renewal rate of any membership-based retailer in the world. It's important to us. It's one of the key metrics we look at because the bulk of our revenues are derivative of membership sales. Our products, again, are designed for small to mid-sized businesses and for individuals. We generally market ourselves to middle income and above, although we see ourselves as a retailer for all basic social quantiles. Our business model has a very reduced SKU, shelf-keeping unit count. We only have about 3,000 to 4,000 items compared to a traditional supermarket of 60,000 or a supercenter of 200,000. So one of the key takeaways from this is we have no depth of selection in any product category. We don't kill the mom and pops or the downtown districts. Again, if you want, just to give you the classic example, if you want mustard, you have a choice of 2 at Costco. You can get a 2-pack of Grey Poupon or a gallon of French's, but we don't have 24 flavors and 15 sizes. The company background, this is actually our mission statement. It's to continually provide our members with quality goods and services at the lowest possible prices. And in order to do this, we conduct our business with the following ethics in mind. Number 1, obey the law. Number 2, take care of our members. Number 3, take care of our employees. And number 4, respect our suppliers, vendors. And then if we do these things, the ultimate goal will be achieved, which is to reward our shareholders. I have to share with you a very brief story. When I was hired in February of 1992, I was told by Costco that, literally I was told, in the absence of negligence, malfeasance, or fraud, I would be doing their work until I retired. And they immediately instructed me to hire lawyers, architects, engineers, and surveyors and tell them the same thing. And back in 1992, I hired 9 consultants, and 7 of those consultants are still working under me. Relative to warehouse locations, 787 in 12 countries, the bulk of which are in the U.S. and Canada. Couple takeaways from this: we've been operating in the United Kingdom for over 20 years and in Asia for over 20 years. So we have a tremendous head start over there. We just opened our first Costco in China about 9 months ago, and in Iceland about 1.5 years ago. And we currently are under contract in New Zealand and several other countries, but I can't review the other countries because we're not yet public with those, and we are public with New Zealand. Next slide, please. Short project overview. This will be a call center to support Costco's travel and e-commerce business unit. Probably 90% plus of this will be for the e-commerce division of Costco, which is the fastest division within the company. Last year, e-commerce sales were up 86% year over year for the last period. And if you removed COVID, what we think are COVID-related items, it's still up between 30 and 40%. So this facility would primarily be to service e-commerce. In doing the site selection for this, Costco used a number of different consultants, demographers, site planners, and ultimately we examined multiple states. We then narrowed those down to 3, which included New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Nevada. We are currently looking at a site within the market. We are actually negotiating to purchase the site, but we don't have anything to announce just yet, but we hope to shortly. And because we're under a confidentiality agreement, we can't yet reveal where it is. But again, we expect in the next couple of weeks to be able to do that. Again, state and local incentives played a major role in this decision, along with utility, occupancy costs, workforce availability, and economic stability. As you can imagine, there's an enormous amount of metrics we look at. We have 6 full-time demographers that are on Costco's corporate payroll, and all of that stuff has to be homogenized down before our executives can make decisions. And at this point, we've decided on Oklahoma City. Next slide, please. Relative to our local effects, Costco, I tell people there's a lot of superlatives to describe Costco. We're the chief among them is we are socially progressive and a leader in wages and benefits. So this, just to give you some context, Costco's current average wage in the United States in retail buildings is $25.85 an hour, which is over double what Target, Walmart, and most of the others pay. This particular unit will start out employing over 500 people and will ultimately employ over 1,000 by the 3rd year. The average wage will be $60,000, and the job classifications would be kind of as you would expect for a call center, clerks, computer experts, technical people, supervisors, managers, and there also will be part-time and seasonal employment opportunities. The benefits to employees are white-collar benefits. You can see them all here: medical, dental, vision, pharmacy. Some that aren't mentioned here are orthodontic, optical glasses, above vision testing. So really, we believe that we have the best benefit package of any retailer in the world. Part-time employees are also eligible for these benefits after 450 paid hours. Part-timers are generally guaranteed 20 hours a week, company-wide. And again, I believe the minimum wage for Costco worldwide now is $15.50 an hour. And it's been rumored, but I believe that that's going up soon as well. Next slide, please. Relative to our impacts locally, we're going to be providing living wage jobs. We're going to be generating property and other taxes. There will be a halo effect because we're going to be, again, just the general payroll will be around $100 million a year once we're up and operating. Invariably, those people will spend and consume in the nearby areas. Oklahoma is a sales tax state, so my guess is you'll see a tremendous bump for that. These jobs will be drawing, I would think, they'll primarily be Oklahoma City residents, but I can tell you for our traditional Costco's, they normally draw about 60 miles. Costco is a tremendous corporate citizen. We engage in the community. 1% of our pre-tax profit goes to charitable organizations. We have volunteer reading programs. We have partnerships with nonprofits. Again, Feeding America is one, New Eyes. The Charity Backpack Program is common. What we do there is we identify early on elementary, middle schools that are in need within the area, and then we arrange to purchase backpacks and fill them with compasses and staplers and all the things kids need to get back to school. And all facilities that Costco have are allocated a couple of these schools to adopt. World Vision, again, we collect recyclable glasses and distribute them. Relative to the dedication of our involvement, the facility manager will become involved with the chamber and other local business groups. And then the last two are actually our national programs, the Children's Miracle Network and United Way campaign. And I don't have the exact numbers on those, but my recollection is we raise about $3 to $5 million for each of those a year. I believe that is all I had, to the extent, again, brevity is the theme. To the extent I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to do so.
Mike, could you expand on what the travel business unit is?
So Costco, a lot of people are not aware, but Costco has a travel division. You can go on our website and you can look, and Costco, similar to other products and merchandise items, is a price leader in the travel business. So we without bloviating too much, we establish pricing authority in group travel. For instance, if you wanted to do a 7-day trip to Hawaii, we find that we're more competitive than all of the major travel agents, including the Expedias of the world. The other thing we do that is very unique is we will forward buy, just like we do with wine and other commodities. We will forward buy cruise ships and resorts and take the risk of being able to sell all of those positions. And just as one example, I can tell you about 8 years ago, I did a cruise of the Mediterranean, and Costco committed to all 200 positions on the boat, and then went out and put it on our website. It sold out in 3 days. So most of these travel programs sell out very quickly, but you can go on there and you can do ordinary travel as well, including business travel. But all of those calls are routed through call centers. So those people will be, a certain portion of this facility will have those travel agents in-house.
And Mike, to expand on your core missions of number 2 and number 3, safety for your members and safety for your employees. Having been a customer of Costco now since you've opened in Oklahoma City, I was very appreciative of the extra sanitation protocol and everything else. It led the community. Appreciate that tremendously.
Thank you. I just was speaking about this with someone this morning. Costco initiated 6-foot spacing about 10 days before the CDC and others did. Costco installed plexiglass about 8 to 10 days before other people came up with that idea. We had, like other retailers, I know Aldi does as well, we had a plan in place before this happened for such occurrences. And again, I'm taking more of your time, but I can tell you we are getting a lot of pushback lately for this, but we believe it's the whole wearing of masks program is drawing some ire, but we believe it's critical for the safety of our members and our employees.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Do any of the other directors have any comments or questions? And let me just interject here. It's a pleasure to be working with you in this development of this exciting project, and we wish you all the best as you continue to move forward. With that being said, directors, trustees, any comments, or what is your desire?
And I'll for a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Aye.
Mr. Roth, are you able to vote?
Yes, aye.
And the item passes. Thank you again, Mike, and welcome to Oklahoma City.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your help.
Ms. O'Connor, if you'd introduce the next item, please.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is a joint resolution between the Economic Development Trust and the city to approve an allocation not to exceed $2,155,000 from the increment district number 2, which is the downtown MAPS increment district, for residential development cost category established in the amended and restated downtown MAPS economic development project plan, and approving an allocation in the amount of not to exceed $2 million from the Oklahoma City Affordable Housing Funds allocated from the 2017 General Obligation Limited Tax bonds for the 700 West project to be constructed on a tract of land currently owned by the Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority at the southwest corner of Chartel Avenue and Northwest 4th Street. The project consists of the acquisition of the property and the investment of approximately $52.6 million for the construction of 300 apartment units, with 72 apartment units being designated as affordable housing units by the developer, who is 700 West 4th LLC, whose principal partner is Ron Bradshaw. So for some additional information about the project, this tract of land has been owned by the Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority for probably about 40 years. We issued a request for proposals in May of 2018. We received 2 proposals, one of which was from Ron Bradshaw and Colony Partners, and they were designated as the conditional redeveloper of the site. Since the original proposal was received, the project has evolved somewhat into a more dense project with many more affordable or workforce housing units than was originally envisioned. So at the current time, it's a 300-unit apartment complex that will include 72 workforce housing units. These units will be affordable to people at 80% of the area median income or lower. Let's see, it has structured parking for the units and a little bit of retail space on the first floor. With that, I can turn it over to Ron Bradshaw for a little bit more information about the project. Just as another little aside, because it is an urban renewal project, he will be under an economic development agreement with urban renewal, or he already is under one, that will require the Urban Renewal Authority to approve all of his plans at every step of the process. So we control the design process for the project at a greater degree of detail than like the Downtown Design Review Committee process enables the city to do. So this will be constructed as an urban renewal project with all of the requirements on the developer that urban renewal usually places. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ron.
Thank you, Kathy. I think maybe you've received previously the outline that was on the screen at this point. I'll just say we have worked with the staff of the Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority over the last year as it has evolved in both the original design, which we had was for 140 units with surface parking, and it's grown to now 300 units, a 5-story building that wraps around a 3-story concrete parking garage that really is not visible from the street. It's a very urban project, urban design, really wonderful views of downtown Oklahoma City. We're in the heart of a lot of multifamily and single family development. If there are, I'll be glad to go over this, but just as your previous speaker said, in the interest of brevity, I'll pause. And if you want me to go further on detail, I'll be glad to. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those. I'll do as you wish here. The project has a cost of $52 million, as Kathy said. We'll be raising a little over $11 million of equity that will go into the project, along with the TIF and the funds from the Gold Bond Fund. Both of these will be funded initially by the equity, additional equity, until, in the case of the $2 million, until the project is built and is 25% leased. That we will fund the construction cost, and then at that point, the $2 million is paid in. As far as the TIF is concerned, I think, as Kathy pointed out, the TIF district has a limited time. It expires in mid 2027. It'll take us about 2 years to build and lease the building. So we have a lot of incentive to get started as soon as possible, so that we will fund the TIF. We're not asking for the funding of the TIF. We're asking for a rebate of the ad valorem taxes after construction. And we estimate that to be about 5 years of life left in the TIF. And we estimate the tax revenue, ad valorem revenue, to be over $500,000 a year. That's how we've arrived at the $2,155,000. That is just a massing picture. As I've said, we had a fairly detailed schematic or perspective in our original proposal, but it's grown so much. This is just shows the location. It will be a project. Materials will be brick, Cortan steel on the exterior, and a cementitious material. There'll be a combination of those things. Obviously, as Kathy pointed out, we'll go to the downtown redevelopment committee for approval of the design, along with working with the urban renewal staff.
Thank you, Ron. Any more comments or questions from the trustees?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jim Roth with just a question. Remind me, Ron, please, of the timeline of when you think units might first be available.
We hope to get underway this August or September. On that timeline, we'd have units available the first quarter of 2022, maybe the third quarter. The best leasing time, of course, is in the spring for new projects, but we'll have this ready probably in 2 phases. Some will be available before the end of 2021, and the remainder of them the first quarter of 2022.
Okay, thank you. So relatively quickly, I guess, Mr. Chairman, I would just offer thank you to Ron and his partners for the coordination with downtown design, with urban renewal and others. This looks to be a wonderful reuse of a piece of land to get it off of the tax exempt rolls rather, and into live property for development on the west side of downtown. So very much appreciate the affordable housing component, the parking accommodations, and what appears to be a good neighbor. So thank you for the investment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roth. Appreciate it.
If there are no other questions, I'd offer a motion to approve as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Yes. And I would vote aye.
And it passes. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, trustees.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time.
The last thing on our agenda is the general manager's reports prepared by Jeff. They're available for you to peruse over. Are there any citizens who wish to be heard at this time on any item that the trust has talked about today? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
A motion, is there a second? Second?
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.